way to go.
Something that I'm interested to know how you feel about when you were in juvenile detention. You said that almost kind of put, and correct me if I'm wrong, it kind of pushed you a little bit more towards the criminal life, right?
100%.
You saw even more evil. You wanted to even do more evil.
Yeah.
So how do you think that these juvenile detentions can go about kind of changing that and helping these kids versus pushing them towards?
Yeah, I think honestly, where I was, it was even worse than juvenile hall. So we had to be admitted, right? They called us juvenile wards. So it's almost like an insane asylum, and it's called the California Youth Authority. People watching this, they know what I'm talking about, right? And they had to assess you, do a mental, like it was just crazy, right? So those facilities are now, most of them are closed because there was crazy stories, but yeah, like I've seen people, children doing this to children, like rapes and crazy stuff like that. And then COs, correctional officers, also being predatory towards the kids as well. So it's just the people who, that's why I said it makes you a monster, right? And I'll share this story, which is crazy, but there was a kid who was getting, taken advantage of, as we say in prison, it's called turned out. He was getting turned out by these boys, right? And then this correctional officer was like, okay, he's like, he wanted to get moved out to like lockup, a different cottage, right? And he goes, okay, I'll move you, but basically you have to sleep with me. And that was happening every day. So the kid had to decide, okay, I'm gonna choose between getting gang raped or if it's just one person. And eventually, like I think it was like 14, 15, he killed himself, right? So these are the facilities that I grew up in, essentially, right? And it cultivates you to become a monster, honestly. So the one thing that we have to do, believe as cliche as it sounds, is plant hope inside of kids' hearts, right? If you're really there, you have to, that's why I said it's gospel-centered everything. If you don't have the gospel, you're only going to give them Band-Aids. Sooner or later, people will become corrupt. You give people a level of authority and they start to walk around with this, like, I control this, I run this. I was in prisons where they did gladiator school, which is the correction officers would pit people against each other and fight and bet. You know what I mean? And like, it's just a bunch of crazy stuff, So again, Satan is very real in these facilities.
Right.
And the only way to combat it is not just rehabilitation, but spiritual rehabilitation. You have to have the gospel in. And that's why when we go to Lancaster State Prison, Chino, CRC Norco, these places that I go, we teach these things where it's like, people will come and they're agnostic, Buddhist, Muslim, and more than 90% after our 16-week course or 52-week course convert.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like, it's our way of teaching them from the ground up, and of course we have people like Johnny, you're Christianity, they come in and they debate, but when they see that from our hearts, we just want them to be happy. It's not like, I'm right, you need to listen to me. It's more of like, hey, I'm happy, like it's all you can eat buffet, do you want to accept this? If not, it's cool. Yeah. We plant the seed, and kind of like what George was saying, God reaps that seed, right? So I just go in there and I'm like, listen, I'm not going to try and talk better, relate to them. I'm just my job is United States Postal Service. I'm just here to drop off the message. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if you're a convicted felon. I don't care if you're, LGBT, whatever it is. Like, we're just going to plant the message and that's it. So I never debate people.
Yeah. Do you talk to, when you go in, do you talk to them as groups? Do you have one-on-ones?
Yeah.
I'd love to be a part of one.
Yeah, bro. You should pull up with me. Yeah, Lecrae, I was on Lecrae's podcast. He's like, bro, we got to do this. Like, we got to 100x this, because he has a lot of family members in prison too. So, and then through that, they're doing integrated yards now, meaning, the politics are dying in Lancaster. We are very responsible for that. We're teaching people that, humanizing people. Hey, this person might have been here for this crime, but under God, we all fall short. So stop looking at people like, well, I'm better than you. Yeah, I shot somebody, but like, I didn't do X, Y, and Z. No, we're all the same under God. And so when we plant that inside of people, it heals from the ground up, right? So, we just do that, and we're trying to replicate that everywhere.
Beautiful. Thank you for doing that.
Of course. Amen. Yeah.
That was deep. Sorry, that story where you talked to me about how they transferred out, that kind of wrecked me.